Hi, welcome to Parenting on the Ranch. I'm Jessica.
And I'm Curtis.
Today we're going to be talking about our routine and the schedule that we keep. So stick around.
We are a family of 5 living on a ranch in Texas.
On our channel, we will cover a variety of topics. These are solely based on our experience and opinions, and we do not hold any degrees in childhood development or education. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be diving into how and why we have this schedule and the routine that we have. How we came to make that schedule, and hopefully it gives you some good tips and tricks for your own schedule.
But before we get into that, please make sure you click on the subscribe button down in the bottom right hand corner, as well as the bell icon so you don't miss anything. We've added a couple more videos that we're doing. We're doing a topical video like this every Friday, and then we're going to be doing several different topics on Tuesdays. So make sure you check out the description below for that full schedule.
We've had so many schedules. Our routine basically stays the same. We do it pretty well the same thing, but we have changed our schedule so many times. Mm-hmm. We have it posted in the kitchen just to make sure.
Right.
But when we got into fostering, that's one of the first things that they ask you, what kind of schedule do you have? When we started fostering, it was just me and you. So they want you to basically write down your whole day, step by step, what you do when you go to work, all those things. So they want to see if you can acclimate to having a child in your home. Our big thing was we were going from just you and me to opening our home to 5 kids, mm-hmm. ages newborn to 10 years old. Girl or boy, it didn't matter.
And let me tell you what, it was a culture shock too.
Yeah, we didn't have any idea. I mean, I've been around kids since I was 12, 13. So I knew the fundamental things, like changing diapers and how they are, and I was used to being around them, but you really didn't have a whole lot of experience.
No, you knew how to keep them alive until their mom and dad came and got them.
Basically, yeah.
So either way, with both of us, it was still a major culture shock to go from it being just us and the dog to having
24/7
kids that were there all the time, and we're totally relying on us. And we didn't have the option like most parents do. Going into foster care like we were, we didn't have the option of the 9 months of preparations and getting everything figured out in that 9-month span that you were pregnant or whatever. We didn't have that option.
We had 3 months from our decision to foster till it's okay, here you're open, here's your license, good luck. Here's your kids. Yeah, there were some people in our class that got a phone call for placement on the way home from getting their license. We had to wait I think 2 weeks. That was the longest 2 weeks of my life.
There's a lot of,
but it's you jump every time the phone rings. Yeah.
Oh, was that the phone?
Yeah. I've never been more attached to my phone in that 2 weeks. But it's once you got that first one, then you have to wait. But that anticipation, it's how are we going to bring a kid into our home? I mean, babies, they have their own schedule. But we're open from newborn to 10. And I mean, 10-year-olds, they've been on a certain kind of schedule throughout their life. Mm-hmm. They've been under somebody else's, we'll say, rules, and somebody else's way, and they're going to come into our house. I mean, we can't expect them to fully adapt to what we want. We're going to have to adapt to them and them to us, and hopefully survive. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it was hard.
Yeah, I mean, as you go to Walmart, see, if you're a late person like we are, we're night owls. And, we go to Walmart or Kroger or wherever, at 10, 11 o'clock at night, and we see parents that have their kids still up. And, that's their schedule, that's their routine. But we had to have something that would adjust to us, to the current schedule that we had, but also still allow them to have the correct amount of sleep, still getting their homework done, and food and all that. We had to adjust our schedule around them to make sure that all their needs were met, not only just what we wanted.
And I think at the time, I was working 8 to 5, and you were working 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and you were working like 4 p.m. to 6 a.m. or something weird like that. And you worked
every third day,
16 hours a day. I worked the normal 40 hours a week. So it's it goes into your logistics of like, okay, I'm at work and you have to sleep. What are we going to do with the kids? Like, what's the plan? So it takes a lot of things into bringing kids into your home, or bio kids, adopting a kid, fostering. You just there's so much stuff to think about. And our first 2 placements, it was 2 boys. One was 4 and the other one was 8.
Something like that, 7 or 8.
Yeah. So I think that was a good start because they were a little more self-sufficient than our third. I call her our third, but she was actually our second placement, and she was 4 days old. So that was a whirlwind in the span of what? September, October, 2 months. So not only do we have to adjust to a 4 and 8-year-old, I think he was 8, a 4 and 8-year-old, then we had a 4-day-old baby. So we're just getting used to some kind of schedule, and then here's you a 4-day-old baby. Good luck.
Yeah.
Because they don't, for inexperienced people, they don't really dive into how it's going to be or what to expect. They teach you the fundamentals,
very basic fundamentals
of how to foster, like paperwork and stuff like that. They really don't, like they didn't give him any information of like, kids need to eat these kind of meals, kids need to sleep this number of hours, but
it really
this hour is all different.
It really wasn't so much of a parenting class or whatever. It was more of along of
how to do your paperwork,
water safety and paperwork, and making sure that this doesn't happen, and defending yourself if they attack you, and stuff like that, and how to diffuse a verbal disturbance or whatever that you're having between you and your kids.
But they didn't give, it was more of those kind of things. Defend yourself, defend them, whatever. But they didn't give any tips, like nothing. And giving our schedule, they made us write it down. Giving our schedule, they didn't say, They
didn't critique it at all.
Yeah. They didn't give any kind of you do realize you're getting kids. Yeah, they didn't do anything. So, it is especially if you go from no kids to it, it's a whirlwind. And you can read every parenting book, but it's going to, and you can have some kind of game plan going into it, but
you have to be flexible.
Yes, you have to be.
And that's true whether it's, you're dealing with a foster child or adoptive child or a bio child. It doesn't matter. You have to be flexible with your kids. Now, there are some, guidelines that you probably should stick with, and some routine that you need to stick with, but you do need to be flexible. So as we were figuring out our schedule, probably the first main thing that you have to think about is sleep. When I was growing up, it was like, okay, this was your bedtime. You can stay up till 10. and 9 o'clock on the weekdays, and you need to be up by a certain time. Well, I didn't know the whole science behind it. I didn't know
Yeah.
that kids need a certain amount of sleep. The American Academy of Pediatrics support childhood sleep guidelines we have here, and it says infants from 4 months to 12 months should sleep 12 to 16 hours per 24-hour period. That is a lot of sleep.
Yeah. But it also says that promotes their optimal health. So, I mean, essentially think about it. You grow, your brain grows, and your body grows when you sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Our kids, I mean, we can tell that they've gone through a growth spurt in the middle of the night because their face everything looks different. So, I mean, they need a lot of sleep. So moving on, kids, let's see. Kids 1 to 2 years of age need 11 to 14 hours of sleep per 24-hour period. That's including naps.
Mm-hmm.
So all these numbers are including naps.
Now, so we have the sleep part of our schedule. Okay, we go from our kids go to bed typically at 7, maybe 7:30, sometimes 8.
Oh, we're pushing it at 8.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're pushing it.
And they're starting to fall asleep at 8 o'clock.
But we've been on this schedule. Well, we've had a schedule with them from like day one.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, their bedtime since they were, 2, 1, and 5 months has always been 7.
Mm-hmm.
And we've gotten a little lax in it. But, I mean, when they were that little, it was like 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And they were in bed because they needed that much sleep.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they go to bed at 7, they wake up at 6, so that's 11 hours right there.
Yeah.
And then they typically take an hour and a half to 2 hour nap, so that's 11, 13 hours?
Yeah.
Basically 12 and a half to 13 hours, and they're 3, 5, and 7?
But if you think about that, I mean,
3, 5, and 6.
if you think about their sleep, okay, that's half the day.
Mm-hmm.
But our kids, I mean, when they go to bed like 7:30 and they wake up at 6, they are still tired. Now, granted, Cassidy's in pre-K, so she takes an hour, I think it's an hour, nap during the day. She hates naps. So she just lays there. So, I mean, she has a time span just as long as the sleep that she needs, that she is awake, that her body is using every ounce that she has. So 8 o'clock, they're falling asleep on the couch. Those rare occasions that we're out at night.
They fall asleep with their car seat
Yeah.
at home.
Or they're so cranky and tired. They fight it and stuff like that, especially if we're doing like an activity. They fight it. So Gage is 3 and Cassidy is 5. She falls in the 3 to 5 range, that she should sleep 10 to 13 hours, including a nap. So, I mean, they're pretty well spot on. Raven's 6, and she requires 9 to 12 hours. She
Should have.
requires, per this, 9 to 12 hours of sleep. And a teenager, 13 to 18, should have 8 to 10 hours of sleep. So by the time they're teenagers, that's when they want to sleep in. But they should only need the 8 to 10 hours sleep.
Of course, then you get, older and you be parents, and you might be lucky to
Get 3.
get 6 or 4 or whatever, but...
Well, the last week I've gotten like 3 hours of sleep a night.
No.
But, you think about, like, again, their mind is growing at night, their brain is growing at night, and their body is. So, I mean, that, especially for Gage, I think that's why he wakes up so much. Because there's a lot going on, and he just can't stay asleep. And then he's like me a lot, because once he's awake, and it's very, very difficult to get him to go back to sleep, to calm down or lay down and stay still long enough to go back to sleep. So, I mean, I think we've always had the 7 o'clock bedtime, no matter if it was the 4-day-old or she was different. But, the 2-year-old to the 11-year-old that we had, I mean, everybody had 7 o'clock bedtime.
I think the 11-year-old we had, when she turned 12, I think hers went to 8.
Well, it went to 8, and we were a little more lax. Like, she had to be in bed she could read for 30 minutes, an hour or something. But I mean, she still had to calm down and settle down and relax enough to be able to go to sleep and stay in that, what is it, REM sleep. That's really good for them.
So as you're making your schedule, start with your sleep patterns, with your sleep needs, I guess you could say. Figure out first off when you need to wake up. In our case, it's 6 because we have to get ready for school. We have to get ready for work. Well, I wake up at 4:30, but that's beyond. Not talking about the kids here,
but your beds, when you start the bedtime, you start at bedtime when you're making a schedule. But think about the difference of when they should go to sleep and when you need to go to sleep. Because like us, our kids go to bed at 7 and like we're in bed by 9 o'clock. Which, remember back in those days, the people that we watched our foster observation with, they were like, we go to bed at 10. I'm like, no, we'll be fine. We'll stay up. And we both said it. And it's like 9 o'clock. I am ready to go to bed. Yeah. But, consider what you need to do between the time that they go to bed and you need to go to bed. Because you'll get up at 4. I mean, you need to be in bed at 9. So, I mean, those 2 hours, sometimes there's only like 20 minutes left in there. Because somebody's getting up 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 100 times. And just consider that when you're making your bedtime.
Right.
And then
start with your sleep. Figure out either when you need to go to bed or when you need to wake up and how many hours a night that they need to be sleeping. And you will have to fudge it a little bit, but that needs to be your basis of your schedule. And then the next most important thing is eating.
Cassie's
sleep,
favorite part of the day.
So, you're going to have, I'm lucky enough to have a wife that stays home, but not everybody's going to have that. And, when you have, daycare or whatever, that's going to be a big portion of what your kids' routines are going to be, what the daycare's routine is. And when they're home and when you're home on your weekends, you really should try to stay with that schedule. So ask your daycare, what's your schedule, or what are my kids' schedule like when they're with you, and try to stick with it, because routine is a major thing on the way that they act, when they act out, when they get in trouble. It's a lot because their routine changes or they're doing something different.
Yeah. Well, you say that about daycare. I mean, we even follow what the kids do in school. Like when they eat lunch, what time? Because I think our kids eat like 10:45. So at home we eat at 11 o'clock instead of noon. So I mean, that's probably the first things that I ask what their schedule is. Because 2 days is not worth it to get. Saturday and Sunday is not worth it for me to get them off of any kind of schedule. Because then their school experience is only that more stressed out, I believe.
So figure out when you're going to eat lunch, when you're going to eat breakfast. Of course, you're going to wake up. You're going to get dressed. You're going to do whatever you need to do and eat breakfast. If you eat breakfast at home or whatever, brush teeth and get them off to school. Yeah. And typically this is like a 45 minutes to an hour thing that you have to cram all this stuff into. And then go with your lunches if your kids are still at home. Figure out when you're going to do your lunch, and you have to adjust around nap time as well. And then, of course, you need to figure out when you're going to have supper. Does your spouse that works get home at 6 like I do? So are you going to make supper later where your spouse can eat with you, or where everybody can eat as a family? Or are you going to make it earlier and have the kids eat, and
then you're sitting at the table lonely eating by yourself? Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of considerations you need to figure out. But then on top of that, I like being able to come home and eat with the family. I like being able to sit down at the table and eat with the family. But I don't get home until 6:30. At the earliest is when I get home. That means the kids are going to be waiting from the time that they eat lunch at, say, 11 o'clock on average, to 6:45 by the time we're eating. That's a long span for a kid. Yeah. And even if they have a snack or something, that's still a very long span. So as much as I love being able to come home and eat with the kids, it's better if they eat when they get home from school. And then on top of that, if they don't eat until 6:30, then it's 7:30 before they get done eating. They get their nighttime vitamins and medicine, and
it
brush
just pushes
teeth.
everything back further and further, and they get more cranky and cranky as it pushes back.
Once you have your sleep schedule figured out, once you have your meal schedule figured out, then you have to figure out the in-between times, the morning routine. What's your morning routine looking like? Is this when you're going to do all your house chores, and you need to have your kids
Entertain themselves.
right? Basically to not be underfoot. So what can you do with that? Are you going to have games? Do they have toys that they like? Do they have tablets or whatever that they can entertain themselves predominantly for a couple hours while you do your morning chores, while you do your laundry and your dishes and whatever?
And even special toys, like you bring it out at that time, so they'll entertain themselves. But our kids love being outside, so that's a huge deal for us, and that what goes around our schedule more. So we make that a priority. We live in Texas. It's hot. So, I feel bad for people that live in cold weather climates, because, when, like now, when there's 10 inches of snow on the ground, what do you really do? They can't be outside, and my kids would not thrive. They would not survive it.
No, they would love it.
They would like the
both love
snow,
it.
but I don't know. They like being outside, so.
Figure out what you can do with your in-between time when you need to do all your stuff, and then make sure that you block out some time to spend just with them. Whether that's doing crafts, whether it's helping with homework, whether it's just wrestling on the floor, whatever it is, block out some time where that's what you do every day. I love it when I'm home and I'm able to get down on the floor and play cars with Gage, or play Barbies with Raven, or whatever, with any of the kids, or play with them all. Have a daddy pile and be on the ball.
Favorite.
All these things. It not only does it keep them entertained, but it also builds that bond. And we're going to go into it next month of building these bonds and stuff like that you can do. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss those videos coming out next month, because we're going to have a lot of information there.
Yeah. I think the next thing to consider is probably what you need to get done in the afternoon. I think a big thing to think about also is, we get home from school at 4:45, and we have to be, but our bedtime is 7. So what do you need to get done in that span of time? Brushing their teeth, getting them a bath, feeding them dinner, getting their clothes out for the next day. That's a big thing for at least the girls for now, because they go to school. They want to, pick out those things, and it gives them the time to do it, because I hate doing it at 6 in the morning. I'm half asleep, and it's a fight when we do that. So just, keep in mind, what can you do to, this afternoon, before they go to bed, what can you do to help your morning go a little bit better, a little bit faster? Because, our kids, we have to get up, get dressed, shoes on, backpacks, medicine, all those things. I hate when they pull out a paper like, please sign this, and it's, I need money, or, going through their backpack together in the afternoon. That's a big one for us. And doing the homework, and block out those times that you can get those things done, where it's not just rush, because it means a lot to them. Raven loves to show us what she made at school, that she got a smiley face on her homework. And in the afternoon, if we have that time, not so much blocked out, but just make the time 5-10 minutes to go through her backpack, it gives her so much self-esteem that she not only did it by herself or did her homework, but that she got the smiley face, that she made good choices at school. So, we can give her the praise, and that sets her afternoon better. It helps her sleep better at night. It just makes it go faster. But the one thing we talk a lot about is being consistent. We do the same bedtime routine every day. It gets very old, but the kids know what to expect. They know what's coming next. We don't have to say it over and over and over. They can do it basically by themselves. If they were a little bit older, they could probably do it by themselves, but they look forward to Dad singing the brush your teeth song while they're brushing their teeth. Mom does not sing it. I don't get the tune right, so I don't sing it. But they like that there's a Christmas version to brush your teeth. But it's silly things like that they enjoy. So I'm not battling, we're not battling them over brushing your teeth or whatever it is.
And it gets them to brush their teeth in the right amount of time, too.
Yeah.
Because, while I'm singing this brush your teeth song, I'm also counting in my head, 1, 2, 3, 4, until they, get how long they need to brush the tops, make sure they brush the bottoms.
And their tongue.
Yeah.
But it's like when you wash your hands, happy birthday or whatever, you sing happy birthday, it's the right amount of time. So, they like it, but they look forward to it. That's the key. So it's something that they enjoy, and it's not just some other mundane thing that we have to do. So
that gives them where, when they get older, they'll already be in the habit of brushing their teeth every night because you make it fun for them. And if it's fun for them, they like it. They like it. They do it more.
Yeah. Another thing that our kids look forward to is the snacks. We kind of touched on it a minute ago, but considering when you eat and when you go to bed, consider a bedtime snack too. Our kids look forward to what they call night candies, right? It's a multivitamin. They don't know any different, but they look forward to that. But we do on Saturday, we have family game day. So they look forward to playing games, and that night they get popcorn in the living room, which is a big thing because they're super messy. But they clean up. That's the good part. But they look forward to, just that little bitty bowl of popcorn in their cup and 10, 20 minutes watching TV. It's something special for them. So, throw them those curveballs in their schedule that they can transition well into. Because transition time in your schedule is a very, very big thing, especially when it comes to foster kids. Because not only are they learning a new schedule, adjusting to it, and you're trying to make it the best day that you can, give them the transition time. So leave time in there. We block out like every 30 minutes. Some activities only take 15 minutes, some take 45. Again, our kids have been doing it a long time. We don't really have to announce the transition time anymore. We still do, but we don't do it 15 minutes in advance. We do it more of 5, 6 minutes in advance. So leave space in a schedule that you can both adjust to it, you and the kids. I'm at home with them all day, so I know our kids' schedule like the back of my hand. But, they know what to expect from me, and I know what to expect from them, that they're going to clean up, that we're going to eat, and that they're going to be hungry or they're going to be tired. So, we've been doing it a long time, but for me, it's easy because we've been doing it so long, and I'm at home with them all day, especially during the summer. But when you're at home, I think it's harder for you to adjust because you have your own schedule. You have your own expectations in life because you work. And you go 2 days working and then 2 days you're at home with the kids. So you have to completely readjust to, oh God, I have to do all these things all day. So, I guess that's why you're funner.
Might be a little bit more lenient.
You're more lax, on things, or you give them way more time than I would, which is not a bad thing because when y'all are outside playing with the drone, they like it, you enjoy it, it's something for you, so it's not really a big deal. But I mean, we both have our own style of the schedule. We both have our own way. Granted, some people call me a drill sergeant. Some people call me a commander, or what is the other one?
Warden.
A warden. That's it. A warden. Cassie calls herself warden in training because she knows the schedule just as well as I do. That's my bad. Anyways. She calls herself the mini boss because she has my middle name. So it's only going to teach her structure and accountability and all these things when she gets older. I mean, what can I say?
Which is good, because Raven is typically very
Free bird.
Well, no. What I'm getting at here, Raven is very structured in her life, anyways.
Her own self, yeah.
You know, her OCD that she's kind of grown out a little bit with, but it's still, you know, the books need to be all nice and neat, the blankets need to be folded, and she has her own little way of doing things. Well, Cassie was just kind of willy-nilly for everything.
It's like they flip-flopped, because Raven was like super high-strung OCD and Cassie was a little more freebird. But now they've flip-flopped too. Raven will let things go a little bit, or she'll let, you know, Gage and Cassie try, and then she gets mad. So I get what you're saying. But yeah, Raven has her own schedule. She has her own way, and which is fine, because I mean, she's going to have to do it for the rest of her life. She's going to have to take care of those things on her own. But I think it's cute that Cassie calls herself the warden in training. I think that's just, I'm really on this schedule. You know, I stick to it a lot because I don't want those outbursts and meltdowns and craziness. But our schedule is good now. I mean, we still have it posted, but I don't think we need it as much now. But I mean, that's the thing to consider too, what we were talking about. I have a different style and you have your own way, but it's still cohesive. It's still the same. The same things still get done. So, you know, they still go to bed on time. They still get their teeth brushed and their clothes out and all those things. So, I mean, even though ours don't look the same, like I'm very strict on it and stick to it, and you give a little more leeway. I mean, we still accomplish the same goals. We still keep it pretty consistent. You know, the bare bones of it, it's consistent. So even though it is different, the kids still know what to expect throughout the day. And I think that boils it down enough that they get everything accomplished. They're happy and healthy at the end of the day. And
mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. They're still alive. So we'll post here on the screen what our schedule looks like, consists of, so you can kind of get a rundown of how we do it. This is a fine-tuned schedule after 5 years of raising kids. So, 5 years of kids. Yours doesn't have to look the same. You can take this whole thing and run with it if that's what you want to. But just make sure that your core goals of the day are being accomplished. Again, they're alive, they're healthy, their bellies are full, and they get the correct amount of sleep that they need. I mean, I think that's your bare bones of it. As long as they make it to school every morning on time, or nobody's crying and having a meltdown, it's a good day. And if you don't stick to the schedule, you can make a schedule all day long. If you don't stick to the schedule, or it doesn't go just according to plan, yes, I am talking to myself, because some days it doesn't go to schedule. Things come up, accidents happen. Just keep going. Keep moving forward with your plan and make the best of it. As long as they are happy and you are happy, and you can deal with anything, just let it go and move on. Keep going forward and you'll get there. Tomorrow is a new day. You can start over. You know, make changes as you go. If something's not working out, eliminate it. Take it out of the equation. And
Or tweak the times a little bit.
yeah, or adjust the times, yeah. But if you're trying to, if you bring a child into your house that is especially nonverbal, watch the kids' cues. They will tell you what they need. They will show you what works for them and what doesn't. I remember when Raven was little and she first came, she did not speak at all. So it's a lot of listen to them, but watch what they do, how they act, what they ask for. And I mean, you'll get the schedule that you, your spouse, your parents, anybody can follow. And I think that's another thing. Once we found something that worked, we let everybody know. Anybody that was watching our kids, this is what they need. This is how it's going to go best for you, for them, and we'll get through it. Mm-hmm. And I think that it helped a lot. And just, be clear, be concise about what you want for your kids, especially if you're, leaving them with grandma or somebody that hasn't been around them a whole lot, or a new babysitter. Like, this is what they need. Put your foot down if you have to. But if it works for your kids, that's what needs to happen, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. That whether they like it or not, the person watching your kids likes it or not, I think that they need to stick to what is best for the kids. That way, everybody comes home happy.
It doesn't matter who it is, who the adult is that's watching the kids. The schedule is for the kids. Yeah. That's what they're used to. That's what they're going to do best with. And it doesn't matter if it's somebody that's just done it one time or done it 50 times. The schedule's the same. So it's easy to follow. I'm also going to put a link down in the description below. I'm going to make a PDF file or a printable of what our schedule is. And put it in the description below where you can download it. You download it and print it off, or change it, whatever once. But it'll give you a starting point that you can edit it on your computer. So that will make it easier than just reading on the screen. But we will go ahead and we already did put the thing on the screen. But there is a downloadable link as well in the description below.
I think that pretty much wraps up our schedule and the routine that we keep. It works for us. I hope that you find a schedule and routine that will work for you and your family. Just adjust it as you come into kids or as kids leave your care. Next week, we're going to be talking about our yes jar, and it's great. It's a very good thing to have, especially when you have new kids in the home. So I hope that you come back next week and see our video and come back to our topical video. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Happy parenting.